Viewers, it's April 9th. Liberation Day has arrived, and with it, news of intensifying trade war between the US and China. China has slapped tariffs of 84% on the US in response to Trump's threat that the deadline of withdrawal of tit-for-tat tariffs was today. But that's not all. Donald Trump has said that the pharma industry, which till now was exempt, will also attract massive tariff hikes. This means that Indian pharmaceutical companies like Biocon, Lupin, Sun Pharma, which have around 30% exposure to the US market, will also get impacted. But it's not just India that will be affected. The US relies on India for affordable generics, and higher tariffs will affect and lead to possibly skyrocketing drug prices. It could even lead to shortages and inflation for sure. As costs rise, American consumers could feel the sting, facing higher prices for essential medicines. And in this escalating economic standoff, the consequences of Donald Trump's tariff threat are clear. That it could be a potential crisis for people at the end of the day. Let's first listen in to what Donald Trump is saying on these tariff hikes and what our nation's wanting to do. We come back and talk more.
I'm telling you, these countries are calling us up, kissing my ass. They are dying to make a deal. Please, sir, make a deal.
Well, that's exactly what the President said, that countries are dying to make a trade deal with the US. Dr. Pralok Gupta of the IIFT joins me to talk more on this. Dr. Gupta, help us understand, and our viewers, that as things stand right now, President is saying that nations want to come and do and cut deals with the US right now. But is that really what's happening? And what do you think are the chances of a possible trade deal to ensure that these tariff hikes, the impact could be limited?
Well, this is a mixed bag because some countries are indeed approaching US for trade deal. India is, of course, one of them. Japan is approaching them for a trade deal. But at the same time, there are a number of countries and important US partners, Canada, EU, China. They are not right now envisaging a trade deal option. Rather than they are also reciprocating or retaliating with their increased tariff. So it's a mixed bag as of now. And eventually, what will happen, it's pretty unsure at this point of time. And as far as India is concerned, because we are negotiating, it was discussed during our Prime Minister's visit in February that there would be a bilateral trade agreement. So from India's perspective, there is a relative certainty that we are negotiating a trade agreement with US at this point of time.
So it will definitely give a push to trade talks right now, given that it will expedite some of those negotiations. But the fact that pharmaceutical may also be impacted, how do you see that?
Certainly, till now, pharmaceutical sector and semiconductor chips were exempted from these increased tariffs. But recently, President Trump announced that there would be a tariff coming Friday on pharmaceuticals also. So in that case, major pharma industry from world, including India, would be affected. More importantly for India, because this is one of the largest exporting industrial sector. We are having around 12 billion exports 2 years. Most of them are generic drugs, which are low cost, low margin drugs. Our exposure is significant. Almost 1/3 of our pharma exports are to US. So this is we are going to be impacted.
Indeed.
But at the same time, I would like to say that there is some kind of silver lining, or I would say that this impact may be short-lived impact. One which you were also mentioning in your intervention, that because it will increase the cost of medicines for the US consumers. Now, because the tariff on other products like cars or other things, increasing cost is a different thing, because that is something or maybe luxurious products or which are not necessary products. But medicine is very essential commodities and necessary products. So if that cost is increasing, US
it will have social and political consequences as well.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
the other aspect I want to ask you is that, sir, that while tariff hikes and its impact is being mentioned in one way very significantly, there are some experts who believe that there could be a silver lining in the fact that it could push India to also manufacture some products. Do you see that? Have you had a chance to do any back of the envelope calculations, what that upside, if at all, could be?
Yes. So see, when there is an increased tariff, on pharmaceuticals as well as other products, particularly from China. So considering that India, first of all, right now it is relatively in better situation because we have increased tariff of 26% as compared to our neighboring economies, which are having 36%, 37%, Bangladesh, 46% on Vietnam, and China now 104%. So there may be some manufacturing that will be pushed to India, and we have some incentives like PLI, etc. So there is a good chance that some of the investment will come and take advantage of this thing, and that's the bilateral trade agreement that we are negotiating with US. But apart from that, also from the international, purely from the international trade and international economics perspective, there is the concept of trade diversion and trade creation, which are applicable for free trade agreements, where essentially you reduce the tariffs. Here you are increasing the tariffs. So what here it is a trade depletion and trade diversion effect. So the existing trade with US, that may be depleted because of the higher prices. The consumer will not purchase so much.
You think that the trade volume may come down, yes, as talks materialize? Then let me ask you one thing. Which are you mentioned earlier that there could be some sort of an upside. Which are the sectors for India where that upside could be seen the most?
So textiles is one sector because our
labor intensive plus Bangladesh is an important competitor. It is facing 37% tariff now. So that way we have around 11% margin with respect to the Bangladesh textile exporters. So that is a good, because textile is again a low cost product, relatively low cost product. So we have a quite a significant margin as compared to Bangladesh. Similarly, Vietnam has 46% tariff. That is also a good producer of textile. In pharma, we are competing with EU, Ireland, and Switzerland. But essentially, the drugs that they are producing and that we are producing are in the different segments. We are more into the generic drugs, and EU, European and Ireland, or they are into patented drugs. They are more into patented drugs. All right. Yes, I have to leave it there, sir. Thank you so much for joining me today on India Global.